One of my favorite books was written close to 50 years ago. It was written by Stephen Covey, and it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In this book, he talks about 7 habits that are very important, both for you personally, interpersonally, and also to regenerate. Like sharpen the sword, make sure you rest, relax, and take care of yourself. Probably the one that I use most in my dentistry is always begin with the end in mind. When we're treatment planning, I always figure out where we're going to go. Oftentimes, that's not always the case. Sometimes we move ahead with treatment before thinking about the end in mind. His son also wrote a very important book, and that's my topic today. It's called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey Jr. And this was written, probably about 15 years ago. And what he talked about in that book is that the most important ingredient for success in business and in life, because they're the same, is trust. The book is called The Speed of Trust, because when you have trust in relationships, things move quickly. If people don't trust each other, then this side here is not going to move, this side is not going to move, and they were sort of at an impasse. And if you look at world crises, and some of them have been going on for 4,000 or 5,000 years, and you will see two different peoples that may share the same geographic location, may be fighting for 4,000 or 5,000 years because they don't trust each other. When trust is there in a relationship, whether it's a marital relationship, a business relationship, a doctor-patient relationship, a friend relationship, it makes things a lot easier because you're not worried about what the other person's going to do. You trust that person. In a marriage, if one partner doesn't trust the other partner, it leads to all sorts of problems, both financial, emotional, interpersonal, sexual, etc. I have a partner. And we were at dinner last night, Ray and I have been partners for over 12 years. And during those 12 years, one of the things that has led to a very successful partnership is that we trust each other completely. And when we disagree, we still approach each other from that level of trust, because I know he has integrity, which is part of trust. If the core values aren't present, if he doesn't have integrity, if he doesn't do what he says he's going to do, if he doesn't act consistently, and the same thing if I don't do those things, then there's no trust. Trust erodes and we don't get very far. And because of our trust with each other, in the last 12 years, we've had 2 fights. And it's a joke that we tell each other. So we've had 2 fights. Each of them lasted 90 seconds and they resolved within 90 seconds. And they weren't over anything very significant because we've always trusted each other and respected each other. Now, how does that relate to dentistry or medicine? When patients come in to see us, they don't trust us. They're full of fear. When you're full of fear, there's no trust. Why are you fearful? Because you don't understand what the future is going to be. You can't control it. And so when they walk into our offices, it's a very scary place. So I want to establish trust with them immediately. How do I do that? What happens long before I meet the patient? It happens when they call the office. It happens when they walk into the office. Is it clean? Is it neat? Does it smell good? Is it messy? Are people friendly? Does it seem like a place where people have integrity? Do people greet them by their name? Do they seat them nicely? Do they ask them if they'd like a drink? If they're a little nervous, they say, is there something we can do to make you feel better? We look for all those little signs before we meet the patient, before I meet the patient, making sure that the patient is comfortable. When I walk into that patient, I meet them, as my friend Bob Levine says, knee to knee, eye to eye. And I look them in the eye and I say, how can I help you? In that moment, it's not about me, it's about them. Most of the time, people are thinking about themselves. Doctors are thinking about themselves. I had an experience yesterday. I went to my insurance agent, who I've known, Timothy Russell. I've known him for 35 years. He's a great guy. He's in downtown Southport. It's his 3rd-generation business. And I love going to see him because I feel like I'm walking into the past. I feel like it's the 1950s. It's old school. It's an old school neighborhood. He greets me by my name. People say hello, and I sit down. I know his father. I know his son. We were talking about some insurance, and I was, going through what the insurance is that I was buying from him. It was a home policy and an umbrella policy. And as we're talking across the table, he goes, excuse me a second, I'm going to put my back to you. He turns around and he goes into the computer. How often does a doctor say to a patient, excuse me for a second, I'm going to put my back to you because I have to go into the computer? I will never put my back to a patient unless I ask them permission, because that trust becomes eroded. Because all of a sudden, I'm into myself. I'm not there for the patient at the same time. When a patient trusts you, they will do, most of the time, what we recommend that they should do, because they think it's in their own best interest. Today, these relationships are fragmented. In the past, the doctor-patient relationship was one of the most trusted in the world. Today, it's not. Today, people don't trust their doctors. They don't trust their dentists. They don't trust anybody because everybody has a different agenda and people are moving so quickly. So how do we get patients to trust us? Well, I think the most important thing is that I slow down and I'm present and I'm there. And I look them in the eye and I give them that moment where I meet them where they are so that they can communicate with me where they're at, not where I'm at. I don't have an agenda when I meet a patient. They do. And I'm there to meet them so that they can be satisfied that I'm going to give them a solution that's in their best interest. And it does speed things up. A lot of my friends say, Mike, you talk too much. You talk too much to your patients. You should be doing more times doing surgery. Oftentimes my staff will say, hey, they'll push me. But they know when I'm with a patient, I won't take a phone call. I won't look up unless it's an emergency. So during the day, and I've been in practice a long time, I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails. I don't take any phone calls or emails during the day when I'm with the patients because that's the only person that I care about at that time, unless, of course, there's an emergency. So take some time, maybe pick up these two books, maybe pick up Stephen Covey's book on the speed of trust. It was another bestseller for the New York Times. And of course, his father's book, which is a classic. His father's no longer alive. He passed away a few years ago. It's a great loss, but I think he has something like 11 children. And they're all doing great. And they all been great because he was great. And there's an old Buddhist expression that says that, how you do anything is how you do everything. So being there for your patients gives us a better life because we can carry that same message that we're doing in the office to everywhere else. And guess what? It's a good business decision to be a good person. And a lot of us don't always know that. We're always thinking about fourth quarter. What are we going to do the fourth quarter? What are we going to do the first quarter? No one really thinks about long term. How many businesses have a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, a 30-year plan? I've been in practice 40 years ago, and I'm much further along than I ever thought I would be 40 years ago, but I did have a 30-year plan. I surpassed it because I did things the right way along it. Let me end with one story. It's called the Hans story. I had a patient named Hans. I won't tell you his last name. Hans came in to see me one day. It was my first year in practice, and I was in a lot of debt. And he needed some periodontal surgery. After we did the scaling and root planing, he still had some deep pockets. And he said to me, he says, do I need to have it done this year because my insurance is up and I don't have no more insurance money? He says, if you tell me I need to do it this year, then I'll do it. But if you think I could wait the next year, I'll wait the next year. And that was what I call the Hansen moment, because at that point in time, I needed the money because I was in a tremendous amount of debt. And I would have liked for him to do the surgery this year. I had the time, and I needed the money. However, the truth was, his teeth weren't going to fall out if I didn't do the surgery. The truth is, his teeth would probably never fall out if I didn't do the surgery, as long as he got his teeth cleaned every 3 months. So I said to him, and I realized that was the fork in the road for me, because it was my first year in practice. It was 1985. I said, no, you don't need to do the surgery. Wait the next year. Hans was only 46 years of age. 2 months later, he died of a massive heart attack. And when he died, I thought to myself, how would I have felt if I had done the surgery, violated his trust, and then he went up and died? And I went on to treat his wife and his family. And I never shared that story with them, but every time I saw his wife, I thought about that. And that was one of those moments where I did the right thing, because it was the right thing, but I even questioned myself then because I had the financial pressure. And it was a learning experience that I should always do the right thing. And I try always to do the right thing. I don't always, I'm a human being. I make plenty of mistakes and I do a lot of things that I regret, but I always try to do that. And at any moment of my life, I always say, what's the right thing to do? Because in that moment, if I do the right thing, the future is always better. And so most of it's based upon trust and integrity. So have a good day, everybody. And if you can, pick up this book. It's a great read. Stephen Covey's not as well known as his father's book, but I think it's important. And remember, be the gift.